welcome to the second installment of What is Improvisation? Last time we talked about how to use a set of notes to just noodle around and improvise a melody. This time we're going to take a melody that has already been written and make it sound more improvised or spontaneous. The example melody is going to be Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or the alphabet song, because this is relatively simple and most students that I know of have figured this out by ear. It's usually the one we start with when we're learning something by ear, because people don't really need to listen to it because they've sung it before, they've done it. We just say start on this note and figure it out. So for flutes and other C instruments, trombones, etc., we're going to start on B flat. For clarinets and trumpets and other B flat instruments, we'll start on C. For alto saxophones and alto clarinets and other E flat instruments, we'll start on G. Here's what the melody sounds like. Okay, so if you don't know that melody, go listen to it again, go try to figure it out. I gave you your starting note. It's all in the same scale. It's the scale of the starting note, so the B flat scale, concert B flat. Once you're comfortable with it, come back here and we'll talk about adding things to it to make it sound more improvised. The first thing that we're going to add to it, number one, is some ornamentations. We can add scoops, which is, or a grace note from below, which is going to sound like this. Okay, so basically, when I go up to that F, I'm just playing E first, ba-da, da, instead of just plain F. The other things we can add to it are what's called a turn. Okay, that's a turn. We're going from, in this case, from G, I'm going up to A before I go back down to the F, and I'm playing all the notes in between. We can slide between notes of wide intervals. In that case, I just played all the notes in the chromatic scale, which is every note, all the in-between notes. Or we can do it using notes of the scale if that's easier. It sounds a little different. We can also insert some passing tones. In this case, I think we have to insert notes that are not inside the scale, since there are no skips in the melody. So we can go like this. Okay, so here's the whole melody with some of these basic ornamentations. Okay, so obviously I put in a lot. You can always put more. You can always put less. If you put in too many, then it can sound over the top, overdone. And if you don't put in enough, they might sound like they're an accident, or they might be too subtle to be noticed, It's up to you as the performer to decide what's enough for you. We can add notes, which is kind of what some of these ornamentations do, but we can do so a little bit more deliberately. So like if the melody is moving down, we can put in notes that are contrary to that. So this part of the melody, we can take notes out of that direction. I'm adding a note that does not fit the downward direction of the melody, and then going down. It's kind of like a turn. It's kind of the same shape as a turn, but not quite a turn. If you know the harmonies, know the chords that should be happening, you can add notes from the chords, which I think will be the entire subject of another video, how to use the harmonies, or the entire playlist of practicing jazz standards. Go there if you want more harmonies. The other thing we can do to make this melody sound like our own melody, an improvised melody, is we can change the rhythms. As long as we are not stretching things out too much to make it sound less like the actual melody, it should be okay. So if everything's in quarter notes, we can replace any quarter note with 2/8 notes, which is sort of what I did for this thing. I had to change the rhythm there, but if we don't add any extra notes, we can still change the rhythm. Okay, so we can do things like that. We can even syncopate some of the things. That sounds maybe a little bit rushed, and that's fine. So when you change the rhythm, you do want to try and not add extra time or even take away some of the time. You want to make sure that the actual melody would still fit on top of what you play. If you have trouble with that in the beginning, that's fine. Maybe try playing on top of a recording of the song, or record yourself doing it and then play on top of that to see if you can keep the rhythm changes in line with the actual melody. So with all these extra elements, you have a lot of choices. Maybe spend some time practicing just one of them, like do a scoop, do only scoops, or do only turns, or do only slides. The more you add to it, the less it sounds predictable, the less it sounds like the original composer intended, but it makes it sound more personal to you. And this is, I think, the most fun part of practicing music is trying to make things sound like you and not somebody else. This is kind of the opposite of playing in band. It's something that you can do in practice. Try not to do this in class, though. Your teacher will get annoyed. Some famous musicians have been kicked out of their band classes when they were kids for fooling around like this. But Miles Davis turned out okay. So I'm going to play the melody one more time and try to put all of these elements together in one cohesive package now that we've gone over them. the possibilities are literally limitless. Go have fun with this. Go experiment with this. And if you add elements, if you improvise a melody, the more you do it, the more solid it becomes, the more you memorize it, because it then becomes something that is coming from your mind instead of the page. That's the best way to memorize music, is it comes from here first, instead of with the eyes. If you have any questions about this, feel free to put them in the comments. That's really all I have to say about this. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends, and go improvise some melodies. Have a nice day.